Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be. Actually, good afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and good evening if you're over in Europe. We have all the above. I saw Larry from Dublin, Ireland, has joined us again today. I looked over the list, so we do indeed have people from the worldwide community. So, Larry, a shout out to you over in Dublin. Thanks for joining us. Folks, my name is Harry Brelsford. It's our weekly webinar at SMB Nation. I'll get to the webinar topic in just a moment. It's really cool. But a little bit of housekeeping. So we have the SMB Nation Fall Conference coming up on the 10th through 12th out in October. 11th Annual Conference teamed with Redmond Channel Partner Magazine. But more importantly, do me a favor, if you don't mind, and take a look at fall.smbnation.com and really look at our content. We have never invested so much in content, and you'll see that we have some very specific pathways. For example, pathways surrounding the migrations for the April 8th deadline, pathways surrounding hybrid computing, and also a case study called The Coolest Company in the World. So meet me halfway, take a look at our content, and educate yourself on what we're offering this year. Other housekeeping notes, the replay from the peer group video. One month ago, we launched our SMB Nation peer groups. We've actually filled the first peer group. So if you want to learn more about the peer groups, go to our website at smbnation.com, and you can also replay the video. Finally, and then we'll get going. Finally, today is the 13th Annual SMB Nation Picnic for customers out on South Beach on Bainbridge Island. So DM me offline if you're in the area and you would like to attend. We have 60 signed up. It's a lot of fun, and we put up the white tents in case it rains. With that said, we want to jump right into it. Time is valuable. We are talking, this is a targeted webinar today, so this is really cool. If the shoe fits, you're on this webinar listening because it makes sense. So we're talking about the Postini matter and how McAfee is basically there to assist you with the migration issues, the issues surrounding that, transformation issues, etc. Had a great rehearsal the other day. So Catherine, welcome aboard. Now Catherine, where are you located today? Where are you patching in from?
I am located out in Santa Clara, California.
Very nice. Well, I'm going to hand the mic over to you, so let's get started, and thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Harry. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking out of your time out of your busy days. All right. Let's see. We're jumping right into it. What we're going to cover today, we'll start off with the importance of email protection. I know email security has been, pretty critical in the past, and it's kind of waned off. We'll talk about what's been going on and why email protection and email security is more critical than ever before. We'll talk a little bit more here about also how McAfee addresses some of the latest threats that we're seeing on the landscape. Secondly, the reason why we're all here today is try to understand what's happening with Postini. What does this mean for your customers? What does it mean for you? We'll do a little quick dive into that. And then we'll follow that by the migration path that McAfee has laid out for our partners, really making it an easy transition from one solution to the other if you're looking to transition over to McAfee. And then we'll talk about the McAfee Partner Focus Program, the benefits and the perks that you get with being a partner of McAfee, so you won't want to miss this section. We'll then have some time for Q&A, and then Harry will also do the honors for us at the very end to randomly select one of the participants from today for a free Apple iPad mini.
And Catherine, if you don't mind, on the Q&A, I forgot to mention, I apologize, but folks, use the chat feature. Use the chat feature to send your questions to Heather, and we will answer those later on. Thank you very much. Catherine, please continue.
Perfect. Thanks for adding that in, Harry. All right. So why email is strategically important? When many people think about email security, they equate it to spam protection. And this is probably one of the biggest misnomers and a real opportunity for us to do some education. So while the spam problem clearly is still something that needs to be addressed, what we're finding is that cyber criminals have moved their focus to phishing. And they have an absolute laser focus on trying to extract information, anything that might contain some type of monetary value. And this could range from personal identification information, bank account numbers, login credentials, the back-end systems, right? So anyone who's working in IT is a really big target nowadays. Intellectual property, personal health records, et cetera. So it's really kind of folks that move from, just blocking out noise such as spam to really having to protect your critical information. So if you think about the criticality of email, if you kind of take a step back and think about it, if I'm even trying to get a Facebook account, I can't do that without an email address, right? So it quickly does become obvious how email is really being used more and more as a core identity mechanism. And one, it's something you can't do without, and then two, how email can really be quite valuable as a target to cyber criminals. So in 2013, we've already seen it become quite a rough year with a number of big name companies under attack. And when it happens to large organizations, you see this all over the news, right? And we also see this even more so with SMBs falling victim. We see that over 72% of the data breaches were at companies that were less than 100 employees. And when it comes to email, from a cyber criminal's perspective, right, it's extremely attractive because and when we see this as the #1 vehicle of attack. And why so? Cyber criminals see email as a direct line to their target. And then without proper precautions, email is also a completely unmonitored outlet. So anything that comes out of email, could be just out in the open. And it makes it that much more attractive as a very good way for cyber criminals to try to get that information that they're looking for. So what I have on the screen here, just a couple of examples of phishing, and a lot of it's about links, right, and trying to really tailor the messages to get people to click as quickly as possible. So the first one here in the upper left corner is one from the Federal Trade Commission. Hey, look, you've got a customer complaining about your business. Click here to find out what they're complaining about. And click at the second link to find out how you can respond to the Federal Trade Commission. Oh my goodness, as an SMB, I'd be really concerned because this one complaint really could risk damage to my reputation and just have some catastrophic effects, right? And so people are eager to click on these things to try to do the right thing. The second one here is an example of a phishing that could come even from internal within your organization. Looking at, your email account, click here to upgrade your email account. And if you fail to do so, your email will be deactivated within 72 hours. Again, as a good company citizen, I need to do what I, asked to do. Again, falling victim here. Trying to advance my slide. You guys, I'm having a little technical difficulty here. There we go. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
There we go. Okay, great. Sorry about that. And then, beyond just trying to extract information from people, having them type it in, it goes beyond that, right? And what we see is a lot of risk within links, within emails, trying to deposit malware onto the user's desktop. And this malware may be, trying to log your keystrokes, so then it can slowly send back information, extract credentials over time back to home base. And the number of malware samples, we just continue to see growing exponentially. Just absolutely significant numbers, and we just continue to see this trend grow. And beyond
I had
malicious
a question.
threats, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Catherine. Don't know if you can go back to that last slide on the zoo. So the first of all, I love the term zoo, but so what you're doing is bringing in a sample set, if I track with you properly. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're kind of looking at the new types of malware and the new, variants of malware that we continue to see out there in the wild, if you will. Yeah, and we just, and just more and more new variations just continue to come.
Love it. Okay, please continue.
All right. So beyond malicious threats, as we talked about the malware and the links, eliminating spam or noise, things like that, like eliminating noise, has really become much more difficult, right? And here's kind of a stat here where we say 75% of email reported as spam is actually gray mail. When we talk about gray mail, you may hear the same term as bulk mail. How many of you guys have been to a trade show recently? Right, as you're kind of walking through a conference room floor, talking to different vendors, learning about their solutions, you have some interest, the vendor scans your badge. Heck, maybe you get your badge scanned because you're interested in that free iPad they're offering. So one thing that many people don't think about at this point in time is what are you consenting to at that point? Are you just consenting for that vendor to send you emails, or is it that vendor plus their associates, partners, or does it continue to go on from there? And so it becomes really tricky from an email security perspective, what you qualify as technically spam versus emails that you have once opted into that you are no longer interested in. Right? So from an end user perspective, you think that anything I just don't want to see in my inbox, that's spam. Right? But technically there are these two classifications, and there are a lot of things that we can do around making sure that inboxes stay clean, not just around spam, but around gray mail. So this is also an increasing problem that we're seeing. And then you also have to consider layering the outbound security on top of the inbound security. Right? Because, to be honest, even with an ironclad inbound defense, there's still plenty of risk in terms of losing information. And I love these because they're just kind of different examples of the different ways that this could happen. Now, how many of you have started, writing an email, replying to somebody? You may have either fat-fingered the recipient or, with the help of an Outlook autocomplete, for example, totally got the wrong email address, right? And this is what happened in this particular case up top, really losing a whole lot of, having that whole lot of sensitive data fall into the wrong hands. Without the proper email encryption protocols, you have to find ways outside of email to be able to securely communicate with your customers. There's always a malicious intent from somebody internally sending out sensitive data. And then there's also the innocent stuff, right? I don't know if you guys have sent a work email to your personal email address. And you know what? I'm going to do this just so when I get home I can try to make some progress on work and be productive, and that way I can start my morning a little bit more, up to speed. And if it's sensitive data, that also represents a real risk to businesses. Also to small businesses who have intellectual property. We're finding that in order to defend your intellectual property in court, you have to show reasonable effort that you're actually protecting it. Without the proper, data loss prevention and encryption capabilities, it gets a little bit dicey in terms of, trying to show that you have made that reasonable effort from what we've seen. So really breaking it down, when you start looking at email security, we classify it into three main buckets here. The first is threat defense, and this is all on the inbound. You're just trying to block spam and gray mail to the malware aspect, right, the threat. And then on the outbound, you got to think about the information protection, be it from a compliance perspective or just protecting your most valuable assets. And then third is consolidation, right? Solutions these days, they have to be integrated, they have to be easy to use, and really eliminate a lot of that complexity in places where things can fall apart. And kind of pulling all these three pillars together with McAfee and the solutions that we provided, we feel that we have a best-in-class solution that is extremely security-focused to provide the best inbound and outbound protection in an integrated solution. From a threat defense perspective, we have over 500 dedicated researchers doing nothing but looking at threats across the globe. The ease of use is also something that our customers and partners love about our solution. With the 24/7 live customer support, we also have very predictable upgrades to our products, as well as kind of the security connected. Everything is tied together. And it's not just me saying some of this. We also have very proven leadership. I'm very excited about a number of the industry awards that we've received. So I'm going to spend a few minutes covering how McAfee is addressing some of the situations that we're seeing. The first one we talked about was phishing, right? The links within emails. Typically, as emails go through a security solution, they get scanned as they're coming in to the organization. Emails that are good get delivered, emails that are bad get blocked, right? That should be no surprise to anyone. What's interesting these days, though, is that cyber criminals will wait, right? They know that many people have just a single layer of security. They'll wait, and they'll wait until they think that most of their emails are delivered into their end user's inbox. Not all of us check our emails as soon as they're delivered. And when a user then clicks on that link, which is static, it takes them to a website, right, in which then the cyber criminal can compromise the content of that website. So, for example, the link will look like it's safe reputation as it's coming in. Once it's delivered, the cyber criminal switches the content behind that link, and bam, you're infected. What McAfee does is, along the way, it will also do scanning at the click time. So it does a double layer where we not only scan as the emails come in, but also at the point where the email link is clicked. And then we'll do another check against the Global Threat Intelligence database. We'll also run some real-time simulation of the page at that moment to detect zero-hour threats. And then at that point, if everything looks okay, we'll let that page go through. Or if not, we'll feed it back to Global Threat Intelligence, which means that next time any type of email that comes in either through that same IP address that was hosting the bad website or has another email with that same link, we'll make sure to block that to keep the rest of your users protected. Another feature of Click Protect that we have here is also the end user experience, right? And they say that oftentimes with phishing, the best defense is end user training. And we all know how difficult that can be, especially if you look at the shortened URLs. It can be really tricky to try to figure out where those URLs lead to, even if you are very savvy. So what Click Protect offers is an additional opportunity for users to stay away from those bad websites, right? It'll alert the user, hey, look, the website's been scanned. It appears to be safe. It'll also unmask the web address just to give the user a second look to determine whether that site is safe to visit. It'll also give you a sneak peek of what that website will look like before you get there. Again, just giving you another opportunity to avoid a bad situation.
Hey, that is pretty cool. I love the, I'm assuming the trademark Click Protect. So first of all, I love the name, but more importantly, I don't know that I've seen this before. I mean, I'm really thinking this is value, folks. You just got the whole reason we're here. You just got extreme value. I'm not sure I've seen this. So my compliments.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really sexy feature for a lot of our partners and customers, and really a true selling point because you don't really see this too often in many of the other security solutions. When you look at the click time protection, some vendors, the few that do, will kind of do just another URL reputation check at the time it's clicked. But McAfee goes beyond that to do, actually, they kind of emulate that whole web page to see if there are any zero-day threats at that point. And this is kind of the beauty, of having a company like McAfee that has a strong email security solution as well as a strong web security solution, because Click Protect is essentially leveraging the absolute same technology that we have in our web security solution. So you have all the strength and power, and accuracy of that kind of built right into your email security solution for these links. So how many of you, do work email through your mobile device? Do you ever kind of respond to work email through a mobile device? I think it's something that we see quite a bit of. I think it's about 70% of organizations enable some type of mobile device usage, be it company-owned or allow personally owned devices to be able to conduct work via email. One of the challenges there when we look at links is, how do you know what link is safe to click on? For a savvy user on a desktop, you can hover over the link, right, to try to see where that URL leads to. But on a mobile device, you're pretty blind. And so Click Protect also helps take this a step further, that as you're clicking, if there is something that's not quite safe, it'll give you a warning message. So you'll have that protection no matter where your users are working from, right? Be a Starbucks, hotel, at the airport, they're always fully protected. So it's kind of any device, any location, any network type of link protection coverage. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit overview on the threat defense aspect. On the information protection aspect, I'm not going to dive too much into it here. I'm happy to set you guys up with a demo to kind of look at the interface. But really what I want to emphasize here are all the different capabilities that we have built into our solutions, right? So if you're looking for content-aware policy enforcement, if you have things like HIPAA or GLBA or FINRA, or you have financial documents, we have all these compliance templates that are pre-built, and I think there's over like 100 of those that are pre-built, right? Because we don't expect small businesses or IT to be compliance experts. So what we really try to enable to do is they say, okay, well, if you're if you need to be HIPAA compliant, select these templates, bam, you're mostly good to go unless there's some customizations that you wanted to make, and then you always have the capability to go add those. Encryption is also something that we make available as well. Either you're looking at business to business, right, so trusted partner to trusted partner, or even as a business to end user. So if it's like a medical office to a patient, or if it's a legal firm to a client, right, that type of communication we also provide encryption solutions for. Beyond that, what we find really interesting is the file fingerprinting. And this is really where it's very custom to your organization. So if you have certain financial statements, quarterly reports, annual reports, or if you are an organization with IP, right, that you're trying to float around between your trusted partners, these are all things that you can register, if you will. It'll take a fingerprint of that document so that if part or all of that document happens to try to escape via email, you can block it or encrypt it if it's going actually to the right place. You can define all that. The other thing that's really important to note is to think about, as you're trying to protect your data, what type of documents that applies to. There are, some vendors that will offer certain, they'll scan for data in certain versions of Word, maybe PDF, right? But we know that not all data is included in those. You started looking at image files, CAD drawings, et cetera, there could be sensitive data in there, and McAfee provides that breadth of coverage to be able to protect your sensitive information. And the third one here is just consolidation, bringing it all together, right? Simple, integrated, easy to use is what our solution is all about. And it goes beyond just email security. If you're looking at web security, it's all the same administrative platform, and a lot of things that just have a lot of synergies because of that tight integration. So just a few other things we talk about, the consolidation and integration. There are some additional capabilities that are available I just want to touch on quickly. Email continuity is one of those. When Hurricane Sandy, for example, came around and a lot of businesses lost connection to their servers, a lot of emails were also lost as part of that process. And what email continuity provides is the ability to spool emails and allow end users to access their emails and administrators to administer the emails from a web-based portal while an on-site Exchange server, for example, may be down. We spool messages for up to 60 days, and then once the email server comes back up, all those messages slowly get delivered back to the email server. Another piece is email archiving. And I just kind of wanted to point out the differentiation for those of you that are familiar with Postini versus the McAfee solution. I think the difference that we have here is the double write. And what that really means is as messages come into the email journal, instead of having those messages send out a copy to somewhere to be archived, what we do is we actually establish a secure connection, and the messages get pulled out from the journal to the McAfee data center. We make sure that gets written once, and then we make sure it gets copied up to a secondary data center in another location. And then once we have confirmed the write has been successful in both data centers, then we send that message back, and then at that point we remove the message from the journal. So we're just absolutely certain that those messages, have been archived and that there are no missing messages. So you have that confidence. And the last thing I'll touch on here is in terms of Google Apps and Microsoft Office 365, right? So I think that from a collaboration standpoint, there's a lot of goodness that could be used from and leveraged from these two platforms. In terms of security, we feel that there are some gaps that are missing. And what we see quite often from our customers is, there is email security that's built into these. Why do I need to buy more email security, right? And so I can't blame customers for saying, because it's included, I'm going to try what they have. But we see very commonly that then they end up coming back and saying, yeah, maybe I do need better security there. So the important thing to note is that it's not an all or none, right? You can also leverage these platforms and then layer on the McAfee security to be able to get benefits like the Click Protect feature like we talked about, the anti-malware capabilities, the outbound filtering capabilities. So these can all be layered on in front of these applications so that you get the benefit of being able to leverage the benefits from a collaboration standpoint as well as making sure you've got great security. And we've built in a couple things to make this really easy for customers. Again, if you're trying to do some outbound filtering, we really made it as simple as just checking a checkbox. You don't have to go and worry about, what IP spaces do they allow outbound filtering from, and how do I route that over to McAfee. We take care of that all seamlessly behind the scenes, and we're just constantly on top of that, so you don't have to worry about it.
The key point, Catherine, if you don't mind, we use, and I proudly say we use Office 365 at SMB Nation, and I mean, I could go on for an hour about that experience, and bottom line is I'm happy with it. So I'm also very happy to see that you're integrating into Office 365, because I think, if we kind of turn the clock back a couple of years ago, it was called BPOS, and then it became Office 365, and there were fears, uncertainty, and doubts about it, and I think we've largely gotten past that. But one of the conversation was the integration of ISVs with third-party solutions into that framework. So I probably used too many words to make my point, but I guess I'm saying cool and thank you.
Love it, love it.
Please continue.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, and just one other thing, as you're mentioning Office 365, we also find that with some of these applications, as you hover over some of the links, depending what version you have in these apps, we find that the URL is also masked or obfuscated, and so it's really difficult to tell where it leads to. And so again, that's kind of where Click Protect, has really helped some of our customers, just kind of depending on where you're at with that. So just something to look out for. All right. So what's happening with Postini? So about a year ago in 2012, Google did announce the end of life for Postini. And as you may recall, Postini back in the days was a vendor that was focused on email security, and it was acquired in Google around 2007. So at the top of this year, as customers started reaching the renewal dates, Google essentially provided the option to customers who wanted to stay with Google to migrate from Postini to Google Apps. So in other words, from one platform to another for their email security. So the information that I kind of collected in the next few slides are essentially all taken from the Google's Postini Transition Resource Center website. So if you want to Google, I think that's the official name of that website. And so what I've done with here is just kind of a map of the before product and then the after product if you were to stay with Google. So what's important to note is that there are two different solutions here. that have a transition path, right? And then message encryption at this point, they don't have a solution yet, so they're still currently working on something. And then what's important to note is that there are also 3 different solutions here, with message filtering and Small Business Edition probably being more relevant here. There's products that are being phased out. And what you need to know is that, because there really isn't necessarily a transition path to move to, actually with any of these different solutions, if you do nothing, your service will be terminated, right? And then with these, it'll be very much similar, but then you won't have, I guess kind of leading to the next slide, the existing pricing being honored. So with Google Message Security customers, and these are the top 2 packages that I showed on the previous slide, if you do decide to transition to the equivalent solution in Google Apps, customers do get to keep their current pricing, right? And this pricing will remain indefinitely as long as the customer chooses only to use the email filtering and security features for their on-premises mail system. So where they might see a price jump is any customers who choose to make use of the additional services within Google Apps will expect a price increase at their next renewal date. And essentially, they'll just be paying for the full Google Apps platform. Okay, so it's important to understand that regardless of the pricing, Postini and Google Apps platforms are not the same, which means that some of the features that your Postini customers may be accustomed to are not necessarily found in Google Apps. So again, this is that list taken from their website.
Whoa, whoa.
And then
slow down there. Can you go back to that for just a second? That's quite a list. Hold, you got me. You got me on that one. Hang on a second. Let me just.
Yep.
Content manager. Okay. Branding. Okay. Okay. Cool. I don't read very quick. Thank you.
No, it's quite a list and a lot of text. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Great.
All right, and then just to be fair and objective, there are also a few additional features that they're looking to add by the end of the year as well. So they're looking at kind of trying to align the 2 solutions a little bit more. Okay, so the migration path. So now that we know that there is a forcing function that's prompting customers to reevaluate their solutions, McAfee does have a proven solution. Anecdotally, I just heard yesterday from one of our partners that he had evaluated 14 different solutions before choosing McAfee. And his feedback to us was that McAfee hands down was the solution to go with. So that obviously made us very happy. The transition from their perspective has been really seamless with 0 learning curve for the end users. And we have a lot of other examples from our partners that I'd be happy to share. In terms of the looking at the migration path, I think that the type of success that we see in partners is also helped by the easy migration path that we offer. First, it just starts with the free data migration assistance, as well as 2 months free from the service. As part of the partner program, you also have access to the broadest SaaS security portfolio in the industry, which gives you an opportunity to generate revenue beyond email security. And we provide the flexible monthly or annual billing, as well as the predictable pricing, processes, and resources. And we understand that providing good customer support requires more than just a support website, which is why McAfee provides the free 24/7 live US-based customer support. And then lastly, to really help you quickly generate demand and revenue, we also have our sales and marketing assistance, partner branding options, and we are a 100% channel-focused model. And we'll talk a little bit more about the partner programs and what comes as part of that in a few more slides.
Yeah. I was going to, Catherine, if you don't mind, I was going to say that I know that our audience, being a partner audience, is probably chomping at the bit, but I also know we get there in just a couple slides. So good for you.
We'll get there soon enough. All right. And then, from a technology perspective, part of that was just kind of all the process and programs. From a technology perspective, you also get unique competitive advantage with McAfee because of our state-of-the-art cloud infrastructure, right? Always on, always updated, best-in-class security. And, it's kind of a surprise to some folks, but McAfee does have a long-term commitment to email security. We've had a really great history of frequent product enhancements, frequent and predictable product enhancements, I should say, and over 10 years of operational excellence. So we've been doing this for a long time. And as one of the world's largest dedicated security vendors, McAfee's primary focus is always going to be providing that highest level of security. And again, here's just a quick slide. Don't take my word for it. We've received a number of important industry accolades and recognitions that we're very proud of. EMA Radar for hosted message security talks about how, successfully hides all the complexity. It's intuitive, easy to manage. Forrester calls us out for strong DLP capability that's built right into the solution. The best buy from a value perspective, right? Holy grail of IT products, low cost, easy to use, rich feature set, and on and on. So we're really proud of these recognitions. So in addition, we talked about the broad portfolio that McAfee has. We have an extensive selection here. And in addition to all the email components that we talked about, we also have email SaaS endpoint that allows you to manage endpoint security online. We have a cloud single sign-on solution. It really helps relieve the pain that end users have in managing multiple passwords for their cloud applications. Web protection to protect users from malicious websites. And then we also have website certification with the McAfee Secure Trust Mark, PCI compliance, as well as daily vulnerability assessments and scans of the network. All of these run on a multi-tenant platform, 24/7 access to online management. Again, all backed by the global threat intelligence and the threat research team, et cetera. All right, so the Partner Focus Program. So the Partner Focus Program is one that is easy, right? It's easy to join. It's easy to sell. We got a great service, and it's really easy to engage. We have really great, margin-rich recurring revenue opportunities depending on what type of partner you're looking to be. Here we have a partner, example, a partner who sells and bills. And then if you're looking for it to be a partner that sells, bills, provisions, and support, we have different levels here. We're really proud about our retention rate, 95% customer retention rate. So it's a very reliable service. We always say that, with the option for month-to-month billing, our best SLA is if you don't not like the service, you don't feel like it's doing the job you expect it to, you can always leave, right? It's very easy to exit. But the fact that the 95% customer retention here, I think, speaks volumes to the level of service we provide. And then it's also very easy to engage. And this is a little bit more about the partner program, where we have a marketing on demand, which provides a lot of the pre-built collateral, whether you're looking to do postcards or emails or campaign kits that are built, et cetera, to really help you drive that demand. We also have the marketing development funds that every partner qualifies for, so there's really no statute requirement, and every partner is pre-approved, and we have custom programs that are built there. And then, once you have all that demand, we also have sales on demand, and this is really cool too, because this is our dedicated service experts who are available to assist you in any and all stages of the sales process, right? So if you're just a partner coming in, you have, got all this demand, and then you're like, okay, now I got to get on the call with this first prospect. How do I have that conversation? What do I do? How do I demo the product? Well, just give us a call, and we can always have one of our, experts join you on the line, have a call together with you, with your prospect. If they want to do a demo of the product, our sales engineers can help you do that demo, just kind of walk you through that process. To get you up to speed really quickly. And there really is no time frame. You can kind of continue to use our assistance as often as you would like. Best way to see it is that we're an extension of your team. and experts to kind of, help provide that expertise. So in terms of next steps, if you're trying to find out more, feel free to reach us via email or phone. We have a little bit more product information here on the McAfee.com/email security site. And then also we also have a landing page for Postini, folks interested in trying to find out more about the migration path for Postini on McAfee.com/Postini. On there, if you're trying to look for more information about Click Protect, we got a great video up there. And then there's also a transition guide for those of you that want to dive in a little bit more from a technical perspective. This is how you did it in Postini. This is how you would see it in McAfee. This is how you do it in Postini. This is how you see it in McAfee, right? So just kind of a step-by-step to give you an idea. And then, of course, we're always happy to help set you up with a demo or provide any additional information that you'd like. Also, take advantage of our exclusive. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
No,
sorry. Continue.
All right. So also take advantage of our exclusive NFR offer, so not for real sale offer, and our 2 free months of promotion. Essentially, the NFR is an exclusive offering for our partners that enables you to leverage a bunch of the McAfee SaaS security solutions, including email security, web security, endpoint security, et cetera, within your organization free of charge, right? So you have that experience, you understand how it works, and then it just gives you better ammo, and understanding as you're talking to your prospects. And then lastly, start growing that new revenue stream with McAfee. Like I mentioned, it's not just email security opportunities. I think as you continue to grow, there are a lot of other great SaaS security solutions that you can sell to your customers as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, hey, folks, thank you, Catherine. We're not quite done yet. We have the Q&A coming up. A little bit of housekeeping. Once again, please use the chat feature to ask your questions. We will have the prize drawing at the end of the webinar, so that's good for you, that's good for me, that's good for McAfee to keep you engaged and participating. We do have a fair number of questions. And before I forget, if for some reason we do lose 1 or 2 of you, again, a couple of housekeeping announcements. SB Nation Fall, October 10th through 12th, all new content. Today's the picnic on Bainbridge Island. If you're in the region, come on out 4 to 8 p.m. and take a look at our peer groups. So just a little bit of housekeeping, but I've got like 10 questions lined up. Catherine, are you ready to maybe answer some questions from folks?
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Okay. Charles Kartik, actually a friend of mine here from the Seattle area. Charles, I want to see you this afternoon. No excuses. Charles asks, can I detect falsified email addresses?
Can I detect falsified email addresses? Yes. There are a number of technologies built into our global threat intelligence that looks for things like that. So yeah, there are definitely technologies that we have to be able to detect those.
Okay, great. Second question. It sounds like the click time protection feature protects from threats in web links. Does this mean I get web security or in email security? Do I get web security and email security?
Yes, to a certain extent, you absolutely do. And this is kind of the benefit of a company like McAfee. We leverage the full web security product to provide that same level of protection for the security for that link within the email, right? So it's really for the first click. If I have an email, there's a link in there. I click on that. I get the web security for that page. If that page is okay and it allows you to go to that page, from there, if you continue to click on other links, we kind of see that at that point you're out of the email realm and you're into the web realm, at which point you would need the web security as a separate solution to cover all that other activity. So you do get the web security protection for the first link.
Okay, great. Next question. My customer uses Postini in front of another email security solution. Can you walk me through, or can you walk me what this might look like if they were to look at the McAfee solution? Hope that made sense.
Yeah, It does, and it's actually not uncommon for companies to have. So we often see this. They use Postini and sort of another email security solution for a number of reasons. One, it could be because from an outbound perspective, they want to keep that outbound filtering on-premise. They might have very sensitive information or certain types of rules or maybe just integrations with other systems within their environment. The other reason that we commonly see for that is just that, I don't necessarily want a SaaS solution to connect directly to a server that contains sensitive data. So they might end up putting like a virtual solution, a gateway or something in front of your email server just as an added level of protection. So in either of these use cases or in a few others, that's actually kind of one of the beauties of the McAfee solution is that rather than having a cloud-based and an on-premise based, and in most vendors what this means is that you're sourcing two different solutions that don't necessarily talk to each other, which means that you have different management interfaces, different reporting, different maintenance schedules, whatever it may be. With McAfee, we do offer the flexibility. So if you want to deploy cloud, great. If you want to deploy it on-premise, great. If you want to deploy as an integrated hybrid, great. Right? It's all the same per user fee, and we just allow you to switch as you need. And if you decide to use both on-prem and the cloud, it's the fully integrated hybrid solution, which means you will only have a single management console, single reporting, single quarantine. It just really simplifies the management.
Okay. Let's see. Next question, please. Paul Appelgren. Hey, Paul. Appreciate you attending again. Does this page result from clicking a link in the delivered email? Now, that might have been a contextual question. Paul, I understand you may have typed that when we were on a slide, so I'm not sure. I'll read the question. Does this page result from clicking a link in the delivered email? Or can you reverse engineer that, Catherine? That might have been specific to a slide that we
Yeah. Yeah, my best guess would be it has to do with the safe preview slide. Where
okay.
it talks about, yes, we've scanned it from malware. This is the unmasked URL, and here's a sneak peek. So, yeah, that would result from clicking on a link just as an additional precaution before proceeding to the page. Administrators do have the option to turn that safe preview page on or off, just depending on what they feel is the most appropriate. If you do turn the safe preview page off, you still get all the same protections. It's just a difference of not having. I guess it's just a chance to help end users reinforce their learning, and then just an additional opportunity to apply user intelligence. They know where they're trying to go, versus kind of what we're seeing from a strict malware versus reputation standpoint.
Sure. Next question, please. Oh, it's Paul again. Hey, Paul. Boy, we're chatty today. Oh, there's a couple from Paul. Good on you. Is the file fingerprinting done after the email is sent, or is there an integration with an email client? File fingerprinting.
Yeah, it's file fingerprinting is done prior to the email being sent. So essentially what you say is, I have this document, and there's content in here that I need to protect. And then so you kind of register, if you will, that document in the system, and it just takes a hash of that document. So some type of fingerprint, right? So there's no content of the document that's stored anywhere. It's just kind of that fingerprint. And then it'll recognize emails, scan for that on its way out if you have that policy applied. So for example, you're saying, I just want to check to see if HR is sending out this type of thing, or everybody but HR, right? For example, everybody but accounting. You can certainly do that as well.
Okay, and we now hear from Larry over in Dublin, Ireland. So, hey, Larry, appreciate you pop it in. I know it's at least your dinner time, if not later out there. So Larry says, we have approximately 60% of our clients with Postini. The rest are using an ISP provider, anti-spam, or Office 365 Google Apps. Support is done via Groove. My question is really, my question is really, who do we call when a client has a problem if we are using McAfee? That's the real question.
Okay, and that just kind of depends on which level of partner you choose to be. So we have, certain programs where the customers call McAfee directly, and then if you're more like an F3, right, where you're looking at also supporting the customer, they would call you, and then you would call McAfee. So we have multiple options that are available. I would just also add to that, because I know, you're out in Ireland, I think it was. We are also able to lock traffic to our regional data centers. So in Europe, we have a data center in the UK as well as Amsterdam. And so if you prefer all the filtering to occur through there, it's just a regional selector, and then you're set.
Cool. Now, that is actually cool. And Paul again asked, does McAfee Solution provide an option to deliver a daily quarantine summary email to each user?
Yes. I believe that we actually made some recent enhancements to the solution, so you can specify which time, which day, and it gets pretty granular in terms of what your options are.
Cool. Very cool. Well, that's, folks, this is the last call for the questions. That's a good set of questions. So, folks, it's important that you use the chat feature. Heather is over in the radio control room. She'll forward those to me. We'll give you a minute again, just a little bit of housekeeping while you're typing your questions, and that would concern that we have the fall conference coming up. We have the peer groups, and we have the picnic. For all of you that are local today, I look forward to seeing you. Now, this is the second to last call for questions. It looks like we may have answered all the questions, so let's just go ahead and take it to a third for last call. And you know what I got to do? You folks, you get just an extra second, because I have to go to I got to spin the wheel for the prize winners, so hang on a second.
And a lot of great questions from the folks on the call today. Really appreciate those.
Yeah, absolutely. I need a wheel noise, because we actually use a random number generator that doesn't make noise. So if you can imagine, that wheel on the TV show, right? What's that 7 p.m. TV show, The Wheel of Fortune?
The Wheel of Fortune, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel, and it looks like we have landed on, he was the 23rd person to sign up, so we have Daniel Langton. Daniel Langton, sir. Well, what have they won? Let me turn it back over to you, Catherine.
All right, and as you see on the screen, Daniel has won Apple Mini iPad.
Oh boy, it's a good thing that SMB Nation employees and their affiliated ad agencies are not allowed to participate in the sweepstakes, because that would have been tempting. So this was a fair and open contest. So, Catherine, I am going to take just one more quick peek at the screen, but I do believe we've cleared the deck. Folks, really appreciate your time. I know it's August, and I know that it's all sorts of things. We're appreciate your time. I'll just leave it at that. And we are clear on the questions, so I'm going to bring this one home. Catherine, thank you so much for dropping by today for our weekly educational webinar. This was actually cool because it was so focused and targeted. And again, the people that attended, let's just say that the shoe fit. Folks, it's back to work. Join us next week, next Thursday at 10 a.m. And again, the housekeeping on peer groups, fall conference, and picnic this afternoon on South Beach on Bainbridge Island. Have a fantastic day, and do squeeze in a little family vacation time this month. Goodbye.